You know what? This show, I swear, this show, I thought it was really terrible. I did not like it.
What?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It's the moment of truth, Shoff. We're at the halfway point of the Acolyte's first season, and I gotta know, is it ruining Star Wars, Shoff? Is this show single-handedly erasing everything that's ever happened before in the history of Star Wars for you?
You know what? This show, I swear, this show is
Unleash.
not ruining Star Wars. It's not ruining
Shoff.
Star Wars. It's already ruined. No.
This episode was the last of the screeners that got sent out beforehand to all the press and all the advanced people. So after this, we're charting new territory, Shoff. We're venturing into something new because not only have people not seen the rest of the episodes, but I think we're getting to the point where there's no more footage that had been shown in the trailer. You and I have now watched episode 4. There's only one scene that I can think of that was in the trailers that we have not seen yet.
Are you thinking about like the whip thing?
Wait, 2 scenes. Okay,
Yeah,
2 scenes. Both are flashbacks, though. So whip scene, I think, is a flashback, and then there's a scene where Kelnaka has his lightsaber. So obviously, after what we've seen in this episode, spoiler alert, that is going to be some type of a flashback. So what'd you think about this episode overall, Shoff?
This episode,
tell me the truth.
I thought it was really terrible. I did not like it.
What?
Yeah, I didn't like it. In terms of Star Wars television that we've experienced, just thinking of like all franchises that we've witnessed, this episode is not up to par.
Oh,
almost at all. It's a real middle of the road episode, which makes sense because it's in the middle of the season. But you know, when you look back at other Disney Plus shows, like we just got done with X-Men 97, and that show was awesome. Every episode consistently good, surprised us. Looking at like on the other side of the fence, Star Trek Picard season 3, almost every episode we were enjoying the entire time. Strange New Worlds, you know, like there is some great TV out there that when you have something like the Acolyte, it's ebbing and flowing. It's not consistently great. And I hate to say that, but that's my opinion. This was not an exceptional episode, in my opinion. What did you think?
And we talked about filler episodes
Yeah.
on a previous podcast. Did you feel like this was before we get to my thoughts, did you feel like this was a filler episode?
It definitely felt unfinished, rightfully so. I mean, it ends on a cliffhanger. But I also felt like it was a shorter episode, only 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I feel like they should have just made it a longer episode instead of cutting it off at a weird cliffhanger. Have the fleshed out, you know, have it be a longer episode. It could have been a 60-minute episode to encompass the day night, because this episode's called Day, I think, right?
Yes, correct.
So, and in the episode, they talk all the time about, oh, it's about to get dark. It's going to get dark. And they're all worried about that because like the creatures come out at night in the forest, and there's a lot of concern for that. So clearly the next episode, if I had to guess, I don't know what it is. I haven't looked ahead, but if I had to guess, it's probably called Night.
Yeah. I don't think they've released that yet, but yeah, I think that's a good bet.
Right. And so like, to me, based on the first episode and the second episode having like conflicting and opposite titles with a forward slash, like they could do Day/Night. They could have done that and put it all into one. It doesn't make sense on its own. It feels like setup without anything else. And that's a waste. When you only have an episode count of 8 total for the season, that seems like a waste of time.
I think there's more that we're going to uncover, and maybe these one name things might mean something, because there's been a lot of speculation of the first 2 were double meaning or double titles. And that was when the twins were kind of separated. Now that we're kind of following them together and they know of each other, that's these last 2 episodes we've gotten the one word titles. And there's been so many different theories and speculations that have been going around. So I've been having fun with that. But this episode right here, Shoff, I think is my favorite episode in the entire season. This episode cooked, Shop. I really felt like this was what you want out of a Star Wars show. Everything that I want, Shoff, was in this episode. You got lightsabers, you got the Force, you got character dramas, you got Shoff's favorite character, Yord, walking around giving commands. That's
you got a space gerbil who's sniffing out Wookiees.
Yes. The new favorite character that everybody's talking about on Twitter, Shoff. Everybody's loving that guy. Bazil Exposition, Shoff.
Yeah.
Didn't
Bazil
you like
Exposition
him?
with British intelligence. Twins, Bazil. Twins.
I gotta say, Shoff, I really enjoyed this episode, and
What?
I don't know what Shoff was
You got
watching.
some explaining to do.
I do not know, because I felt like these first 3 episodes, I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was good. That was fine. This one, I was like, this is what I want out of a Star Wars show.
Yeah, I feel like we were watching different episodes.
I think you had switched over to The Sopranos or something, Shoff. Because when those Italian guys came up, that was not Star Wars.
When James Gandolfini came out and he was in a robe.
As a
but
Force
I was
ghost.
like, I guess this is still Acolyte.
Man, Shoff, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I think the Chimera stuff we talked about, Manny Jacinto's character.
Yeah.
Is he the Sith and whatnot? This episode, I feel like they really want you to think he is the Sith.
Heavy-handed.
And is that trying to throw us off the scent? Is it going to be too obvious at this point? I don't know. Obviously, we're not at that point yet, but I think in the next couple episodes, we're going to start to find out something, because in all the interviews that Leslie Headland did before this show, she always talked about this being from the Sith point of view. And that always got me curious. Like, what does that mean from the Sith point of view? And what are we going to explore about the Sith? We're halfway through, and I still don't really feel like this is a show focused on the Sith.
No, not at all. It feels way more Jedi focused.
What was she talking about? There must be something in these last couple episodes that is going to be Sith related. So I'm curious to know what that is all about. And then
he definitely feels like he's poking and prodding her. He's got her wrapped around his finger. You can really tell he's influencing her in the things that he says, the way that he says them. He kind of comes across just real nonchalant, but like he doesn't realize what he's saying. But clearly there's more going on there. And whether or not that's a red herring or he is in fact the Sith Lord remains to be seen. But here's my thing is like, if he's not the Sith Lord, I picture it. Well, let's say he is the Sith Lord. That means that he, like, in his backpack, he's got like the helmet. He's got the helmet in there.
His
He's
red
got
lightsaber.
the cloak. He's got his lightsaber, and he's just like carrying it around. Because like, where else is it coming from, right? Like, he clearly. Oh, there's a stupid thumbs up thing again. I'm just picturing like him packing his backpack, and he's got like granola bars in there. I gotta remember, it's a long trip. I might need to bring some books with me. Oh, I can't forget my helmet. Oh, my lightsaber, and I better recharge it. I got to get that red kyber. Like, so funny to me. Like, I'm going on a trip. I better bring my helmet with the little like teeth in the thing, make it a big old smiley face.
Hey. Shoff said it was Goof Troop in space. I can't believe that Shoff did not love this episode. I'm curious to see, after they reveal who he is, then what? Like, what does that mean for the Star Wars universe? Because we don't know anything leading up to Phantom Menace. Like, this show is supposed to be the lead-in into that. And Ki-Adi-Mundi, who is in this episode, and he has much less gray hair.
Is that supposed to be him?
Yes. In the credits, they do have him listed as Ki-Adi-Mundi.
So he's that old?
Yes.
See,
I don't know what the name of his species is. Let me look that up.
I just figured it was another one of his like wienerhead species.
Sierran is the alien race. But yeah, they live a little bit longer than humans. So in about 100 years, his hair starts to get gray. But
I can't believe it's legit the same dude. That's funny.
And that's the guy that says the Sith haven't been heard from in a millennium. So what? Like, maybe he's just staying back at the Jedi Temple, and he doesn't find out anything that's going on in the field. I want to know what happens. There's also an alien that looks like Plo Koon, but I saw Star Wars Twitter for the official account confirm that is not Plo Koon. I had gotten excited for a little bit, but then so it's just Ki-Adi-Mundi, which that's actually a question for you, Shoff, because again, we talked about Yoda maybe appearing in this show. Do we want to see him in the mailroom, Shoff? But a lot of people, I did some polls on my Twitter or my YouTube account, and a lot of people were saying don't have any original characters. I mean,
Right.
original series characters in this because it would cheapen it. You know, let's keep it on the new characters. What do you feel about that? Like having Ki-Adi-Mundi in here and then just no one else. There's no Plo Koons, there's no Yodas. If you just keep it at that, is that okay to you, or what do you think?
Oh, I don't mind. I mean, I recognize that it's a different time period, so that's okay by me. Isn't I'm going to mispronounce this, Vernestra, or however you...
Yes, that's right.
She's not that we've seen her before, but she is an in-universe character, like already
Yes.
established, right? Like
That is the only character that has something previously established in books and comics in the
Right.
High Republic.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people are
I
saying
don't
she's
mind.
the Sith.
No.
That's the theory I've been seeing.
Yeah. To me, if she's already an established character, I think she's off limits on that respect.
Actually, real
Yeah.
quick, Shoff, fact. She is the youngest Jedi Knight of all time. That was established in the High Republic canon. She is the youngest. So that's kind of something, a little cool tidbit about her. And she is almost completely different in this show than she was as a young child in the books and comics. So I want to see like what changed her, because her attitude is completely different. Like the way she's just acting is off a little bit. So I want to see if they explain that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. I do have some notes.
Yeah. What did you like about the show? What did you like about this episode? Anything?
Okay, so I did like I liked the little roly-poly beetles that were attached to the tree. They're called I think I saw it in the captioning, but they were called umbra moths.
Yes, that's right.
Which so at first I was
Star
like,
Wars.
This is really anticlimactic. She only woke up one, and like Master Soul just like quickly like baseball batted it, and it was like done. But I thought to myself, one thing they established is that the Umber Moth is attracted to the saber because it's a light source, and a moth is always attracted to the flame, right, to the light. And it was going to be dark soon. They kept reiterating like it's going to be night, and so that to me, this moth like species felt sort of like Chekhov's gun, sort of like you mention it, it's there, that it's there, and it's going to come back to be a much bigger deal later on. So I think that the follow-up episode that we're going to get next week, I would not be surprised, this is my Shoff theory, that we're going to get the rest of them that are all hanging out on the trees because all those lightsabers just got initiated. It's nighttime, it's dark, they're going to be attracted to it. They're all going to come in full force. I think we're going to have like a full-on swarm of those things.
I could see that. Yeah. That makes sense. And
so that seemed cool to me. I liked that.
Yeah.
I like seeing like the alien species and stuff like that. I did not like Bazil. I didn't like Bazil. Yeah, I found that really annoying. And I also found that to be a really stupid strategy. Like, these are freaking Jedi, okay? And the best idea they can come up with to find a stinky Wookiee Jedi is to hire like a space gerbil.
Dang.
And have him sniff out the Wookiee, sniff the entire planet for a Wookiee. That's crazy to me. That is crazy. Why not use, I don't know, the Force? How about you sense where your fellow Jedi is in the woods? Like, wouldn't that be enough? You're a Jedi Master. Shouldn't you be able to sense another person, another life? Isn't that established in universe? Like, you can sense Force sensing abilities. Like, come on. That to me was just laughable. Like, why would you hire a tracker? Come on.
Dang. Shoff doesn't want any little people to get work. Okay. Now this is another thing that Shoff hates.
No, good for him. Good for him. I wonder if
I was wondering if that was I didn't look in the credits. I was wondering if that was Warwick Davis. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Bazil. Willow. I have a question. This is a lot of people asking a lot of questions about this show. I've got a really hard-hitting, really serious, important question to ask you, Vactor. How does Jackie sleep on her side?
Hey,
she's got this whole like Statue of Liberty like horn thing going on. She's got a Rod Stewart hairdo and a forehead so big it's like more of a 5 head, which I can say because I got a 5 head myself. I said that so that the comments see, look at it's Rod Stewart. I got faith of the heart.
Dang.
Right? I'm gonna make myself cough.
Does Shoff make you horny? Dang.
Wake up, Maggie. I think I got something to say to you. Right?
Jedi rock. Yeah, Shoff.
Yeah, her look does not do anything for me. Dang. It's not awakening the Force. Let's say that. What else did I say? Oh, do you find that relationship that's budding between Osha and Jackie, do you find that to be like a believable thing? Because it doesn't feel like they had any kind of established friendship until this episode, and then suddenly they're like best buds. I'm gonna miss you. Sign my yearbook.
Actually, saw in the I want to say it was episode 2 when they were on the ship together. When she first met up with them, basically, she's kind of. Jackie's having trouble piloting the ship or something. Whatever she's doing, and Osha's like, "Well, you gotta do the zip line to the Fingeldopper," and Jackie's like, "Oh, okay, you a pilot?" And then they kind of had a bond over that.
Wait,
and
do
then,
that impression again.
Are you a pilot? They had. I thought they had a little connection, Shoff.
I like that. That's good.
They had
Can
a
you
little
do the rest of the episode that way? Are you a pilot?
I think they had established some type of rapport, and that she wanted to be basically where Jackie is at, like an actual Padawan to Soul. We saw that Osha kind of has this connection to Soul. He kind of still
that's
carries
true. They're
that
both kind of
flame.
They're
for
both
her.
Padawans of Soul. That's true. They have that. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I'll take it. I'll accept it.
I like it. Yeah, I like their relationship that's coming up here.
I have a theory.
Yes,
I got a theory. So, the Jedi, when they're you see that Kai Adimundi, is that how you say it?
Yes, Ki
Adimundi. Sorry.
Yeah.
When they're all sort of like speculating, like they're watching May's moves, and they're like, "She was trained by a Jedi. We got to find out more." I have a theory about this. All right. So when we saw she like fell into the pit, assumed dead, she randomly like
no one could survive that fall.
What's that?
No one could survive that fall.
Yeah, exactly. No one could survive that fall. That was a terrible impression. I did more. It sounded more like Patrick Stewart. No one could survive that fall. But I'm kind of glad I did it that instead of doing it like an Asian struggling to learn English.
Oh no,
that would have gotten me canceled. That was the safe Shoff bet there.
Dang.
No, but my theory is that she resurrects underneath the Bunta tree or whatever. At least that's our speculation. We don't really know for sure, but we think that they're connected to each other, right? We've established there's an Osha May sort of dyad situation happening with the Force. They're linked up in some way, shape, or form. And we saw in that first episode when Osha wakes up on the Trade Federation ship, it's almost like she had a nightmare. Like she was like experiencing the battle that May experienced with Master Indara is kind of like how it played out.
Yep.
So I think my theory is that May was indirectly trained by Master Soul because Osha was trained by Master Soul.
Yeah, that would work. I could see that. They have the same, especially if they're a dyad, they could have the
really
same
just one
access.
person.
That's another thing, which is a theory we didn't talk about to a great extent in a previous episode, but there is a theory going around now that one of them died in that flashback, and so he saved one of them, but which one did he save? And I saw online, somebody was like, at some point, he's gonna flip back her hair, and there's going to be the symbol. It was May all along. It was her body that was saved. She was the one that got saved, and Osha was the one who died. So there's that theory going around. And then Osha has that tattoo to distinguish her from May, I think also. Like there's something where their bodies are they have marks on their bodies, so it's like, oh wait, which one is which?
Right.
Maybe May got that tattoo. I don't know. But I'm wondering that also there could be something in the Force playing off of that. I still haven't 100% formulated my theory about that, but I could also see that as a mystery, as something that you didn't expect. It was a turn. It was a Shyamalan type of twist. So I got my mind open to that, and then I'm also thinking about the obvious stuff with Kymer, and maybe he's been the one, just like when Palpatine was like, I don't know if I said that on this podcast or another podcast, but when Palpatine at the very end, when he was like, I'm the one who was doing everything. I was the one who put it in your heads.
Right.
When you two connected, I was the one who did it. So there is precedence for some type of a Sith or dark side user connecting dyads. So that could be something. We still don't know. Like they could go in a lot of different routes. They could make up their own thing, like something we never seen before. It's brand new. And then people will be crying about how that this broke the canon, even though it so far everything that's happened in this show, I don't think breaks any canon or any lore. And every argument that I've seen has not been convincing to me, especially because last episode, the only thing she said was, I created them. That's all she said. There wasn't anything specifically like, well, Anakin's no longer the chosen one. He was no longer the only one that was created by the Force. Like, I didn't see any of that. It's all up to your interpretation. And so all these online voices I'm seeing of, yep, it broke the lore, broke the canon. It's all that interpretation. I don't have that. So it doesn't, until they come out and say it on this show, yep, Anakin wasn't the only one, that I still don't believe it.
Yeah.
Shoff, what do you think about the power of this Sith user? Now, this is something we saw in the very first trailer. When he was able to...
I really was careful not to really watch any of the trailers, other than I think maybe the teaser trailer, which did not give you much at all.
It didn't show his face in that one. It didn't show his helmet.
So, but yeah, very powerful to be able to force push the entire squad of Jedi and Padawans. Like that's something.
And the way that he tossed aside Osha.
Yeah.
Or was it May? One of them. He was like,
Osha. Yeah. Osha.
Like, no, move out of the way, please. That part. I just like it when people are really powerful in the Force. Like, did you ever play the
Force Unleashed?
Yes, Force Unleashed, where he was pulling down Star Destroyers,
yes,
and he's like pushing everybody. Like that, it's just fun. Like it's power fantasy. Like, oh yeah, like what if I had those powers? Using the Force to an extent that it makes it just really fun. But I've seen a lot of people online like, oh, that's too, like they're too powerful in the Force if they go that far. Vader in Obi-Wan, when he pulled that ship down, they're, oh, it's just too much. It's too powerful in the Force. But I like.
Well, I mean,
like
think
this.
About what Palpatine said when he was taking out Mace Windu, right? Like he's like unlimited power, right? So like he recognized like the dark side is an unlimited bank of power. If you're willing to sacrifice, what it takes to gain access to that kind of power.
Also, if there's only two of them, we still don't know if they're going by the rule of two yet in this part of the timeline. But let's just say there's only two of them. If there's only two people accessing the dark side, or let's say there's a lot fewer than how many of the Jedi, that makes sense also that they would be more powerful because there's less people pulling on the Force.
Yeah, because you got all these Force users against two. I mean, it would be no contest. They've got to be stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun to see.
I was really disappointed that it feels like every time we see Kelnaka, it's a disappointment. Like...
there is a flashback coming where he's going to have a fight.
He better redeem himself somehow, because at this point he's the biggest disappointment of Acolyte at this point, because all we've seen of him is he can force pull some guns out of people's hands and then break them up into pieces, and then he's good with his hands in terms of like fixing things on the ship.
He's Donatello. He does machines.
Yeah, he
Shoff.
does machines. What does that mean? I don't know. Go put that diaper on your head.
Yeah, I do want to see more from him, and I thought this was going to be the episode where we
Yeah.
saw that. But I did like in that scene where he was kind of getting his Vactor meal ready. They had all of the yin yang symbols on the
Yes.
wall. And to me, it was like, oh, he's obsessed. Like something that whatever that traumatic event was. Which, by the way, I don't think we mentioned it because I went back and watched the third episode again. The scene where first of all, when Torbin comes up and he's like, he doesn't have all the old makeup on and everything.
Right.
He's like completely normal. The next time we see him on the ship, when Osha wakes up and says, "Hey, what happened? Why are we leaving?" In the background, he's got that scar, which we later see him as an older guy, and when he was taking the bearish vow, and he has that scar over his eye, very Anakin like. I think Kelnaka gave him that. I was thinking about it more and more, and I think whatever happened when May passed out or when Osha passed out, I think the witches did some type of a trance either to Torbin or to Kelnaka, and that's what like he causes them to fight each other, or she causes them to fight each other, and maybe that's what causes the explosion of the reactor, like them fighting each other. Something I think we're going to see in the flashback. Kelnaka gives him that scar, and in the battle something happens, but then they both are able to escape, but they are scarred for life. He goes off in exile. Torbin takes his own vow. So there's definitely more. Obviously, we still haven't seen it yet of what happened and why Torbin wanted to commit suicide and felt so much shame. I think there's going to be like that's what's pushing me on this show, Shoff, is the mystery of what happened and why. That's what's really fueling me right now. Like, who is the Sith? What is their goal? Also, in this episode, what was interesting to me of him talking about not killing with the weapon, and I've been also thinking about this, like, well, he said that, but she killed Trinity with the blades. That was a weapon. And then she killed Torbin with the poison. And that was a weapon. And then in this episode, she actually says, like, oh, well, I haven't killed anyone yet without a weapon. And if he's the master, it's kind of weird that he's like, oh, yeah, you can do it. Because if he's the one who gave her that test, well, she's failed twice now. What's the point of the test if you're just going to fail all of them, and maybe at the last second, now we've seen the only one left is Soul, so she has one shot left, although we see in this episode she's kind of turning back towards the light side because of her sister. But what is the point of that? Because we talked about it in the Darth Vader comic book where the bearish vow is first introduced. He goes on that quest sent by Palpatine to take a Jedi's weapon and then bleed the crystal, and then that's how he gets his red lightsaber. That would be a great if they had put that in here. She reaches for Indara's lightsaber in the first episode, doesn't get it, and then after she kills Indara, she leaves the lightsaber there. So I'm like, well, what was the point of that? And then when she fights Soul, she reached for the lightsaber. So I was like, it would make sense if they were trying to do it like the Darth Vader comic where she's trying to get her red lightsaber, but it doesn't seem like that's where they're going. So that's kind of confusing to me, like what exactly is going on there. So I'm hoping they don't just leave that ambiguous, like, we're never going to answer that. Like, give me an answer. Tell me what is the point of this whole testing thing? And then, was she trying to get a lightsaber?
I think she was reaching for the sabers simply to disarm the Jedi from being able to use them. Not so much that she was going to collect them or then use the crystals for something later on. I think it was just sort of like, well, I got to get this out of their hands, otherwise they're going to be able to block blah 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 blah.
Right.
But I mean, once you have the Force, I still think that May is approaching it too literally. That it's about killing the dream of the Jedi, not killing a Jedi without a weapon. It's the damage you do to the infrastructure,
the idea
of the Jedi.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like all of the thinking about the dream and the philosophy of the Jedi. And that's what Palpatine is able to do. He's able to convince the whole galaxy that the Jedi were bad. And then eventually, like, oh, they were a myth. Like to the point where we're in the sequels and Rey is like, Luke Skywalker, I thought he was a myth.
Yeah.
So the
Right.
whole, like Palpatine won. He convinced everybody that the Jedi were bad and that they were
Yeah.
the ones who scarred his face and took over and everything. But then to the point where it's like fast forward 30 years later, he's almost erased the memory of the Jedi. I think there's still some people out there in the galaxy that remember them,
Yeah.
but where do they go in this Rey movie that's coming out? Like, where do
Yeah.
they go from there? It's like, this is all interesting to me.
Right.
That's why people, again, on my YouTube comments, I get Star Wars is dead every day. Pretty much daily, I see a Star Wars is dead post. And I just like, I don't know what you're talking about because there's so much
Yeah.
interesting stuff going on in Star Wars, whether it's the video games, the comic books, this Mando movie coming out, the Thrawn, the Rey movie. I want to see where it goes. All of these things are interesting to me. Now, whether they make satisfying movies and things in the future, we don't know yet. But I'm still like, hey,
Yeah.
give me more, give me more.
See, I think as well, like the way they kill the Jedi in the Dream of the Jedi, I think that also I think May was probably chosen and sought out by this Sith Lord because maybe this Sith Lord is aware or knows that there is this hidden truth to what the Jedi did that night on Brendok.
Mhm.
And that secret once once revealed will sort of dismantle the reputation
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
Jedi.
I think that's
And you can tell as well that
Mhm.
Vernestra is concerned about how the Jedi are perceived by the public because
Right.
there was something that they should have notified the Jedi Council about, which would have then notified the Senate, and they were
Right.
like, "No, we don't want to do that.
Yes.
We don't want them to know about this. Like, let's handle this internally, right?
Right.
Because that's a reputational risk, and clearly they're very concerned about their reputation. And what went down with these 4 Jedi clearly is controversial and would not be good to get out. And I think that is really what the Sith Lord is sort of harping on, is like, this truth needs to come out. How do you kill the Jedi
Right.
with no weapon? You reveal what went down. You
Yes.
find out the truth of the matter, and you let everyone know. And I think like that's where this is going, because we all want to know what went down, right? The story is slowly feeding us those nuggets, and in doing so, having a second guess the motivations of the Jedi and how all good they are. And maybe that's the Sith perspective that we're
Right.
supposed to be getting.
I think
From the point of view of the Sith, is that the Jedi are not perfect, that they're not,
right.
they don't have it all figured out, and they're not all good, that they
Right.
they are hiding things, and they are political and manipulative and everything else.
Yeah.
So
I really hope we get some answers sooner than the last episode of this. Like, I want to know something in episode 5 about the Sith. Let's see if you're going to reveal that it's Manny Jacinto. Let's do it. And then I'm still under the belief, Shoff, and I've been this way from the beginning. He's the apprentice and he's not the master. And he's trying to recruit his acolyte. I don't know if I said this on this podcast, but he's trying to recruit his to overthrow the master. So there's room that could be Palpatine, that could be Plagueis, like, or no, I think that could be Plagueis or Tenebrous, who is Plagueis's master. Like, it could be either one of them in this time period. I don't think Palpatine is old enough. I don't know if he's even born at this point, but I think this could be a perfect time to introduce those two to canon because they've now been legendized. Where when Disney took over, they said, okay, all that stuff that was not in the films didn't happen. Basically, it's over there in Legends, which you can also go read. It's not like they erased it from the Jedi archives, but we have not seen Plagueis.
Missing a planet, you are.
We haven't seen Plagueis or Tenebrous in any show or movie. This would be a perfect time to introduce them and give us more answers, because that's what we fans crave, Shoff. Not only electrolytes, but we crave the Sith information. So that's what I'm curious to see in this next couple episodes here. Anything else, Shoff, that you hated about this episode?
I mean, I didn't hate it. I think hate is a strong word for this episode.
Ooh,
I just
Shoff.
didn't love it. Like I wanted to really like it. And to end the mystery, I actually watched it 1.5 times. when I told you I watched it earlier, I did watch it earlier.
What?
I watched it at like 6:30.
What? You
Yep.
lied to me, Shoff. All right.
I got to keep you on your toes.
That
Gotta keep you on your
is
toes.
Shoff and I's thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Acolyte episode 4? Like I said, we're halfway through this first season. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, whether you agree or disagree. That's one thing I want to point out, because a lot of people in the comments, if they don't agree with you, then they think you're a bad person, or they think that you just can't get along. And hey, we can all get along if we have difference of opinion. Look at Shaw.
Right.
He has the wrong opinion, but we can still have two different opinions.
But I'm still handsome. Yeah.
He's still
also,
got the
we're
peak.
not Disney shills, okay?
That's true.
Disney shills don't pick things apart and, find issues with stuff or whatever. Like, trust me, we're not shills. I
Disney,
wish we were
call me.
shills. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to
give
be
me
a
money.
shill.
Give me money, Disney.
I want money to do. Yeah. Give me some money. Also, anytime, if I'm saying Yoda in the mailroom, that's a joke, people. Get real. Get real. Come on. Things I say are just to have fun. We're having fun here. We're having fun. Okay.
That's true. You got to have fun when you're in the presence of Shoff. But I love all of this talk, all this speculation, week to week, as we're going back and forth, uncovering this mystery, getting more information, just getting to spend some more time in the Star Wars universe. Always makes me happy. So until next time, we're going to be talking about episode 5 next week. We would love to hear all of your thoughts, all your comments, and we would be honored if you would join us.
May the Force be with you.
Trust only.